Exorcism. In expelling Eddie Obeid and Ian Macdonald from the Labor Party, opposition leader John Robertson this week was trying to refocus New South Wales politics onto the performance of the O'Farrell government. But with Mr Obeid defiant in the face of ICAC allegations that he and Ian Macdonald conspired to secure lucrative mining leases and threatening future legal challenges, the opposition's exorcism seems to be unleashing, not expunging, Sussex Street's demons. Even if the ICAC finds corrupt conduct, will the Crown prosecute? Will any ICAC adverse finding survive a Supreme Court challenge? This will go on for months, even years. And as it goes on, the Australian Labor Party continues to hemorrhage voter support to the point of irrelevance in New South Wales, and federally in September, it seems, the loss of government.
When a vibrant culture ossifies into a stagnant pond, the scum will float above the top.
Any adverse finding against me or my family, we will be testing that in the Supreme Court. The least a Labor leader should do is wait for the process, yet he wants to jump ahead of the process and score a few political points, and it'll be seen by that.
On Thursday, opposition leader John Robertson addressed the Institute for Democracy and Human Rights at the Sydney University Law School to draw a line in the sand, he said. Without any corrupt conduct finding yet declared by the ICAC, he announced that Eddie Obeid and Ian Macdonald had been expelled from the Australian Labor Party for having brought it into disrepute.
The era of Eddie Obeid and Ian Macdonald is dead.
Mr Robertson again declared that to change Labor's culture, the binding vote of factions and sub-factions was also over within the state parliamentary Labor Party. There'd be new integrity vetting of all candidates. He'd ordered full pecuniary disclosures, taxable incomes, investments, trusts and business interests by all Labor MPs, their spouses and dependent children. There'd be no second jobs, and in government, an online diary would be posted of ministerial interactions with lobbyists and all vested interests.
Without the right structures and constant vigilance, even a movement full of outstanding men and women can be atrophied in its culture.
Watching Mr Robertson's performance was Kevin Rudd supporter Bob Carr's former Chief of Staff and political consultant Bruce Hawker. Mr Hawker acknowledges that New South Wales disease, the cynicism and expediency of Labor's state branch, which brought down Rudd PM in 2010, seemed about to produce an endgame, the electoral rout of the Gillard government on September the 14th.
This is the problem for the Labor Party. They've got a good raft of policies. The NDIS, Gonski, NBN are all policies which any government would be proud of. They've had a real problem, though, in communicating that message, and that doesn't just go to the question of who the Prime Minister was or should have been. It goes to a more fundamental question about their ability to tell a good story and to lay the groundwork for such. But I think it's true that there's been an ongoing disquiet in the electorate about the leadership of the Labor Party and the way in which the Prime Minister of the day, Kevin Rudd, was removed by the so-called faceless men at the party.
In the Rudd slide of 2007, Labor won 16 seats in Sydney, including the prize of Bennelong. Bennelong returned to the Liberals in 2010. Labor survived the national swing against it in that election, retaining 15 seats in Sydney under Julia Gillard's Prime Ministership. On cephalogist Anthony Green's election pendulum prediction, let's look at a range of likely outcomes at the September federal election, given the consistency of current polling. On a 5% swing against it, Labor would lose 5 seats in Sydney. On a 7% swing, that's a 58% coalition vote to 42% Labor, two-party preferred, this would be the result. Labor would narrowly hang on in just 7 seats. Half the electoral map would turn blue, including Gough Whitlam's old heartland stronghold of Werriwa.
I'm sorry you've been let down.
John Robertson has apologised for events in New South Wales, but Bruce Hawker said that while this attempt to shake off the perception of corruption here was welcome, it seemed all too late for Labor federally.
I think John Robertson gave a very impressive speech today. I think he's laid out the most comprehensive anti-corruption measures that any leader has done in my time in the Labor Party. The fact that he's looking seriously now at community pre-selections, direct elections of certain party officials, perhaps leaving the way open for the direct election of the Premier or the leader of the party, all point to a man who is saying, I am sick to death of the cancer that's in this party and I'm going to cut it out.
I'm not prejudging what Eddie Obeid or Ian Macdonald may or may not have done, but I am saying they have unquestionably brought the Labor Party into disrepute, and for that reason I have demanded that they be expelled from the party. It's a matter for ICAC and other places to make decisions about the evidence that's been led, but these people have undoubtedly brought the Labor Party into disrepute and, frankly, brought politics into disrepute in New South Wales.
Mr Obeid has made it clear that your actions in expelling him is outrageous and that you have no grounds to do so, and that in fact he supported you when you moved from Unions New South Wales into the state parliamentary Labor Party and had to break arms to get the caucus to accept you into the parliamentary Labor Party after you'd wrecked the government, the Yemmer government, over privatisation.
Well, it's just not right. I was invited to join the government by the then Premier Nathan Rees, who asked me to come and serve in a Labor government, and I took up that opportunity. I can tell you for a fact, Eddie Obeid has not helped me in any way, shape or form in my career in politics. This is a man who is desperate and he's simply lashing out as he watches his world unravel.
The ICAC will deliver its findings on Eddie Obeid and Ian Macdonald and all others under investigation in late July or August, by then just weeks from the federal election. If, as expected, the ICAC finds there has been an historic and monumental breach of public trust, the exorcist in this case may turn out to be not John Robertson, but the voters of New South Wales.